So this research is looking at ways that community engagement in particular can try to build capacity for people to start adapting to the impacts of climate change. It's one of the areas that's going to be significantly affected by changing climate and the impacts, particularly from sea level rise. It's really low lying here, it's flat, it was reclaimed land, and we've seen those impacts already with significant floods back in 2015.
If it rains, you can see the water level changes and it'll slowly sit on the surface and then it'll pour through and it'll come up, and how it will change as sea level rises is a really critical thing to understand.
South Dunedin has traditionally been a very fragmented community because people who are fighting for every day, their living, don't have time to reach out and connect to others. So our job in the network and all the groups who work here is to enable those people to have voices.
It is vulnerable, but any vulnerability, there's also strength there. It's actually helping people find the solutions for themselves.
We've had now 5 community hui, and started off with 30 odd people, got up to over 100 this last one, where people can come and talk to each other, get to know each other, and listen to the DCC and give a voice to the DCC about things that are happening in the city, because it's that capacity to have a voice with the decision makers that's critical to our survival actually as a community.
Connected communities can cope better, they're more resilient, and building relationships with those communities becomes much, much easier for local government if they're trying to implement change, when they can tap into communities who are already ready to start thinking about things and work with people on those kinds of issues. So it's about building networks, it's about working with organisations who are already in place, who know some of those groups who might be harder to reach, who often struggle to engage, those who might be struggling on an everyday basis and don't have the space or energy to even think about future impacts that might still seem quite remote or they might not know that much about. So trying to build up those kinds of connections enables that building of resilience and the capacity to engage further in the future.
You might be washing your car in the driveway, right? And some of the muck that comes off the car in South Dunedin, a lot of them go into the Otago Harbour.
Oh yes. People who are poor have learned how to survive pretty awful things, and if they're still breathing, there's resilience. Older people have been through heaps and they're still breathing, there's resilience. And so our job is to evoke that resilience and that cohesiveness to make South Dunedin a community that can be consulted effectively in terms of climate change and water levels and all of those things that are going to affect us all.
I am optimistic about the future of South Dunedin, absolutely. We've got stuff like this happening, which is grassroots, community initiated, and got a council that's working really closely with building those relationships and working to try and establish connections across the whole diverse nature of the communities that live here. And we've got some really, really key kind of, I suppose you could call them community champions, but they wouldn't call themselves that because they're very humble, but they love this place and they love the work that they're doing, and they're really passionate about enabling people to live where they want to live safely, to live well, and to deal with the impacts that this place is presenting to them at the moment as well.